Hello and welcome to Mia the Passion Muse Show. I'm here with Umoh Luna. Welcome, Umoh.
Thank you.
This is our series of Feminine Beauty Awakening, and I've asked Umoh to join us because of her amazing business sense and how she teaches women feminine energy in the business world. I'm so excited to have you here because this is a very important aspect of women coming into their full power.
Definitely, I agree, and I'm very excited to be here, so
Good.
thank you.
Do you want to share any of your journey with us, how you got to the love of helping women find their feminine security, financial abundance?
Sure, definitely. Yeah, so, basically I grew up very, very poor with two very smart, educated, talented parents. I saw my mom kind of give up on herself for everybody else. Mm-hmm. My dad was very patriarchal, and he wanted me to be a boy, he wanted a son. So I had a lot of story from a very, very young age wrapped around being a woman wasn't good enough and not valuable. And so money is, and what we're available to receive for ourselves is strongly tied to how much we value ourselves, because money is an energetic representation of value. So, along my journey, I had a rough time there as a child, and when I got older, I had issues with everything that you could possibly imagine, men, drugs, rock and roll, and I didn't make very much money. I always had really, bad jobs, and I was afraid to ask for a raise. I was afraid to assert myself, even though I always knew I was one of the best employees.
Right.
So, as I got older, I got onto my path and the spiritual journey, and I started to learn all these things. And then I started my own business, my own intuitive reading business. And then shortly after that, I also bought a franchise with a friend that was a pet services business. So, just over maybe like the past 6 or 7 years, all these roads converged of everything that I experienced from my childhood and I learned on my spiritual journey and discovering who I am as a woman and coming into my power, and then my journey with money and business and stepping into that realm and seeing all these male models about the way it's done and not a whole lot of spaciousness around bringing in the feminine. And as I've done that, I've been more and more successful and have created more and more results for my clients.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. And I know that when we have spoken before about this type of subject, that you also said that when you were in school that you couldn't get enough, correct? Of studying about finances and about the excitement of
well, actually, not when I was in school. When I was in school, I thought I would never want anything to do with business because I was a spiritual, artistic, person that cared about the world, not those evil people that cared about money.
So then you blended it all together, which is really true spirituality, because if we're not able to take care of ourselves, how can we take care of the world?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Key points right there. Key point.
Exactly. So, why are women generally not successful in the traditional arena?
Well, there are a lot of different reasons, but I'll just highlight some of the most important ones. So, number one is that, the whole nature versus nurture. And until very recently, we've been put on the, you get a job, but you need to, take care of your family and be a good wife and be a good mother. And we've kind of bought into this idea that we have to choose one or the other.
Right.
So a lot of times women have said, I'm not going to pursue success because I want to have a family and a relationship.
Right.
A partnership,
Right.
So that's one reason is the myth that we have to choose, the mythology around that. Another big reason is that we don't ask for what we want. And this ties back to the value of the self, women don't negotiate, women don't ask for raises. So that's part of the reason why men make more money than women. I also recently read the study that they did of these Ivy League students that graduated from this MBA program, and the men in the program went after the top positions, and the women didn't. So even having like this, really high status education and coming from these high quality schools, as women, we still kind of like are afraid to put ourselves out there, and to even assert ourselves to say, yes, this is what I want, and I'm going to go after it.
Right, and good for the ones that do, and it can be a hard road, and
exactly.
And really, why women don't, because they believe they don't have flexible schedules, and they're, as you had mentioned, they care more about their family and a relationship and their home and friends. So if they can balance that, which you've spoken before about women creating their own jobs, even within a company, you can create your own job, but you have to do it up front when you enter into your position. Do you want to talk about women being entrepreneurs?
Sure, yeah. I am very passionate about women because, that's an arena where we get to control these factors that have held us back. And actually, there's a lot of changes happening, and I'm really excited about that. So this is an exciting time. There's more space in the traditional business world. However, you have the most amount of space. You have complete freedom of how you want to structure your own business and what hours you want to work. And, I know lots of women entrepreneurs who are millionaires who, have kids and are married, and they structured their business a certain way to serve them. They're like, okay, I'm not going to go and do a bunch of speaking engagements all over the country because I want to be home for when my kids get home from school, Right. I want to make dinner. So instead they structured their business model in a virtual way, so they could be doing that same work, but in a format and in a time schedule that was in alignment with their needs and their goals. So, and then the other thing about being an entrepreneur is that you get to bring in all of these parts of yourself, these feminine elements that aren't necessarily valued in the workplace, but make everything that you do 10 times more valuable to your clients, and makes your work more fulfilling because you're using more of who you are in your work.
Right. And let's talk about that a little bit, some of these amazing qualities, because when you talk about an entrepreneur and everybody talks about, I used to think I knew I was an entrepreneur, but doing what I do now, which is really without my husband, and us having a business together, I'm by myself. Well, I have a partner, a boyfriend, but he's not my partner in business. So,
he's not your business partner.
Exactly. And so when you said that just now, I realized, I'm an entrepreneur. Well, of course I am. But I guess I'm just so busy that I haven't even thought about that.
Yeah. And that's even another thing. Like women routinely discount themselves. So it's the same thing. Like women think, she's a size 4 and she thinks she's fat, right? You get a guy who's a size 16 and he thinks he looks great, Yeah. So it's like kind of that same thing in business, is that in general we don't value how much we're doing, what our contribution is, So that's just kind of across the board thing that is going on with women,
Right, right. I've always felt that when a woman is in her feminine power and dresses the part and acts the part, she totally blows the mind off of any man she's working with, above, below, because they don't know, they're so enraptured by her grace. Definitely. And her knowledge that she becomes the queen of the, of the arena. Yeah.
I love that you're bringing that up, because it's been like, okay, if you want to compete, if you want to be taken seriously, if you want to be a contender in business, you have to, be masculine, downplay your femininity, downplay your sexuality, and blah, 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 blah. When in reality, okay, yes, you don't want to be at work or in the office being like overly sexual and all over the place with your sexual energy. However, there is a space for you to bring your feminine energy into the business place. And like you said, when you come in and you're like, no, this is who I am. I'm feminine. I'm graceful. I'm soft. I'm beautiful. I'm sensuous. And I mean business. It's like, wow. You know, it's been a whole nother category.
Right.
And, you know, women can respect that and then are going to be inspired and mesmerized and excited to work with you.
Right.
You know?
Right, exactly. And that's what I think the beauty of that is. Years ago, probably about 20 years ago, yeah, my son's 20 and I left banking then. I was working in banking and my boss was this, she was probably only 5 years older than me, but she was this dynamite. We were in an entertainment bank in Century City and she was a contractor and she was a lending officer and so it was amazing to be in her pool of people working because she was so powerful in the way that the men and women looked at her who were confident in themselves, you know, who weren't jealous. It was stunning. It was my first look into what a true woman with grace looks like. Mm-hmm. And you know, and she and I also talked about clothes and how come hers looks so fabulous and all the little secret tips. And so it's like, okay, so I became a little Diana. You know what I mean? It's like, because she put out a helping hand of sharing her grace and knowledge both in the business and in the feminine world with me, that it helped me develop into a different type of woman as well.
That's beautiful.
It's amazing how we can. And men, as you've spoken before, if they take your same principles and use them, they too can be successful because when we're completely balanced in our masculine and our feminine, if we're women, of course we want to express more femininity than masculinity. Mm-hmm. But if you're a man and you learn how to use that, also.
Yeah, no, I also think, like, for men, this is a secret weapon for men, mm-hmm. if they're open and available to hear this. And I talk about, you know, we live in an interesting, still discrimination against women, but it's socially acceptable for a woman to say she wants to do anything. If a woman says she wants to be president, people are like, okay, great, right on, you know. Yeah. If a man says he wants to be a stay-at-home dad, mm-hmm. he's probably not going to get that same response, you know?
Right. Right.
And so it's like, you know, we've had our revolution, mm-hmm. and they haven't had theirs, you know. So we're allowed to embody the full spectrum of qualities and energies. We can be anything masculine and anything feminine. Men don't have that freedom mm-hmm. yet, you know, in society.
That's really interesting that you said that, and you brought that up. I never thought of it like that we're still waiting on their revolution to be fully empowered. And that's basically what Feminine Beauty Awakening is it's to rise the woman up to support herself in her full beauty so that she can support her male counterpart and allow him his space to be the true male that he is who supports her. It's a full energy balance, a circle that's beautiful. Mm-hmm. So I love that you said that because that really is really
and I mean, and I'm excited for what's possible for men who are ready and willing to say, you know, I want to open to my emotional side, my spiritual side, my intuitive side, you know, my instinctual side more, mm-hmm. because if a man is willing to do that, number one, if he's also in balance and connected with his masculine side and his masculine strength, mm-hmm. Then he's going to be irresistible to women. And there's going to be very few men that are doing the same thing in the business world. So he's going to be way ahead of everybody else.
Right.
You know, going to be on the cutting edge.
Yeah.
So this information is totally applicable for men as well, you know, and even be more powerful for them in a certain way.
Right. It's beautiful. You talk about ways to make money and keep it in the equation. What exactly does that mean?
To keep, like, the feminine in the equation.
Oh, okay. I wasn't quite sure.
Oh, okay.
So which goes back to what we were just saying about even the masculine keeping a feminine qualities in the equation can spur along their business journey. Wonderful.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about a couple of things.
Yes.
So basically, we've been taught that to make money, you work hard. you show how capable you are, and you learn everything, you study everything, and blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's part of the equation. But the other part that's been missing, which is the feminine side, is, if you just work hard, you're missing out. You could, if you go the feminine route, you tune in, you bring in, let's say, your intuition, right? And you check in on your projects, and you check in on your joint ventures, and you check in on your launches, and your branding, and all these things, right? You might literally cut off years of getting to your sweet spot, because instead of going through all these incarnations of just working hard, you're going to be missing all these subtleties, If you take time to slow down and tune in, and even collaborate more, because collaboration is the new way of getting further in business, because you don't have to do everything yourself. And every one of us has our own special gifts that we bring to the table. So why not join with somebody else?
Right.
And complement what you're offering, right? So anyways, if you're willing to do those sorts of things, you are going to cut years off your journey. You're going to move forward faster. You're going to have more ease, more grace in your business. You're going to have more fun, and you're going to have more time to actually enjoy whatever success you create.
And it doesn't mean giving your stuff away. It means, as you said, collaborating.
Collaboration is not about giving your stuff away. Yeah, collaboration is about letting go of the idea of competition, and saying, okay, here's where I'm strong. Here's where I'm good. Here's where my gifts are. Recognizing and knowing your strengths, so that you can, and then you can have someone support you. And collaboration doesn't have to be a business partner. It can also be about being clear about how your staff and who you work with and what kind of people you need to bring in to complement your strengths, and how you treat them and interact with them. Now, if you treat them like your serfs or your slaves, you're not going to create an environment of collaboration. They're not going to be invested in your business. They're not going to care about you or the end results. They're going to put their hours in and do what's required of them.
Right.
But that's it. But if you're working in collaboration with your team, they're going to get invested in your vision. And of course, that's going to be way more powerful than someone punching a clock.
Right. Exactly.
So there's lots of different ways to be in collaboration.
Right.
And none of them include giving your work away.
Right. Exactly. Beautiful. And you also, we've talked about owning and valuing our worth and work in the contribution. Well, we just spoke about contribution. So owning and valuing our worth and our work.
Yeah. So, basically this is probably the number one thing that holds women back, in business and probably in a bunch of other areas as well. But this idea that, constantly being in preparation and not sure if you're good enough, and overly discounting your services, giving everything away for free. This is from us not wanting to believe and not wanting to stake that claim and saying, no, you know what I have to offer is special, it's unique, it's valuable. People's lives are improved and transformed because of what I do when I do my work in the world, So one thing that I have my clients do sometimes is go back and make a list of all the people that have been positively impacted by the work that they've done with them, And sometimes when you can take it out and look at it and then think about the impact that each one of those people is making and the ripples that you're making throughout the world from working with even just a handful of people, then it really helps to start conceptualizing and embodying what I do really does make a difference, and I am contributing to the world in this way with my work.
I love that. That's amazing. I always say hindsight is so amazing because we can see where our journey is, but I love how you said write down who you've impacted, because we forget in our day-to-day life when things are constantly moving what the impact is we make, and every single person makes an impact, whether it's a teeny ripple or whether it's a huge wave. We do make an impact, and I love that. Thank you. And you also talk about the personal edge, about boundaries, and
that's another thing that
it's important.
is really important and really holds women back. And, and men have a much better grasp on this because there's been more permission for them to say no and for people to respect that. So, for us, part of staying in our power and the way to be successful is to be in your power and balanced and connected. So part of that is setting clear boundaries,
Right.
And this is something that's a very personal edge for me and that I'm constantly still working on, But the firmer grasp you get on this, the more smooth everything runs. So if you don't have clear boundaries, it's like you're going to end up getting pulled in all these different directions. You're not going to be running your business in an intentional way. You're not going to be doing your job in an intentional way. You're going to be scattered and here and there, which if that's how you're operating every day, you're not going to be very productive. You're not going to get very much done. And you're not going to be getting to choose where to put your energy and your focus, So if you don't get to choose, then you don't get to create the results that are most important to you.
Right, right.
So some of the simple ways you can just work on having clear boundaries is having clear agreements, having discussions about what your expectations are, what you're willing to do, what you're not willing to do, contracts, outlining every time you have a new client or you have a new partnership, or, just being very clear about what you're agreeing to and what your expectations are.
Right.
And then you can also talk about what you would do if those were not met. And even on a simpler level, it's like turning off your phone, when you want to write, especially it's like those things that, are a little harder for us to do, creating that environment, saying, don't answer your phone, close your office door, let people know I'm unavailable between 10 and 2 or whatever it is,
Right, right.
And just giving yourself that spaciousness. And if someone tries to violate that boundary, you can just, ignore them or gently remind them, this is what's happening right now, I'm unavailable. Right. And you don't have to give excuses or apologize or explain yourself. What we frequently do, just this is the line,
right?
Don't cross it.
Right, right. It also seems like with boundaries and with some of these other issues would be like we would do in creating a business. You have to think about it. You have to see how you want to show up, what you want to present, what you want to share, and then you move from there. But having the clear visual and written out ideas of how you want to incorporate your boundaries or any of these equations that you've spoken about before about contribution, all of these go together truly in business because we have to create it ahead of time. Otherwise, not everyone has, as you said, these clearly laid out. Right.
Yeah, and the clearer you can get, the clearer you are, we usually don't have a big problem with our vision, We usually have a vision for what we have, the big vision. Right. But sometimes getting that deeper clarity on breaking that down into the more practical pieces is where we get a little wonky,
Right, okay.
And boundaries come to support you in getting that.
Great, okay. We also, you've talked about collaboration versus competition, but can you reiterate again so that women and men listening have a little bit clearer picture, like doing business in a feminine way?
Yeah, so there's this idea of I'm the best, and I'm the best at what I do, and I'm going to smash the competition and all this sort of thing,
Yikes!
These are very traditional,
masculine,
overly masculine ways of talking about doing business,
right.
Going into battle and, wipe out the competition, all that sort of stuff, Okay, not very effective for women.
Right.
Number one, it's not good for our system to be putting ourselves into battle mode all the time. It's not really good for men, but it's even worse for us.
Right.
It's unnecessary. So instead of being in this mode of competition, let's collaborate and let's see. Okay, even you can collaborate with your quote unquote hardcore competitors, people that do the same thing as you. And maybe you're not going to, start a business together or anything like that, but you could go to lunch with them. Mm-hmm. You can talk to them. You can talk about what is it that you offer that's different than what I offer. Mm-hmm. And in collaborating with them, you guys can both become more clear about what you're offering and what's the difference between you, so that you can advertise and you can call in your people, because their people are going to be different than yours.
Right.
So you can be doing the exact same thing, but once you get really clear on who you are and what you uniquely bring to the table and what's special about you, mm-hmm. then the whole idea of competition falls away. And if you can focus on that in your business, mm-hmm. of bringing the best of who you are to the table, then you can kind of really let go of this idea of competition.
I love that, because as women, we work better when we support each other, mm-hmm. and to lend a hand for mm-hmm. women or men, whomever. But when we do it in love, we seem to be more successful. And I like the idea even more. And you and I, there's the women in the series, we all collaborate together. And so it's amazing how each one of us, we all may do similar things, but each one of us does it differently because we are unique. And so that's what you ladies watching need to understand and hold in your heart, that what you feel passionate about and what inspires you, you can do it and you can be successful because you hold that passion and that fire and that drive. And that's what makes somebody successful in business, because they want to give what they have. And
exactly.
And your jam, if you're making jams, for example, your jam may be labeled the same or similar to somebody else's, Sally Sue's jams, but yours are different because perhaps you used your grandmother's recipes that are 150 years old, or
you made a sugar-free version.
Exactly.
You're using this unique fruit from the Amazon.
Right. Or threw in pineapple instead of something else. And, because there's such creativeness in each of us and uniqueness. It's really what. And so then we have our own market, because there are people that resonate with us that don't resonate with others.
Exactly. So, especially if you're a small business owner, you probably don't run a steel mill or something like that. In that case, your brand's not going to be as important. But if you have your own business, your personal brand is going to be what's going to make you money, and that there's no competition, because your personal brand is you, and there's nobody like you that can do exactly what you do the way that you do it with your special sauce.
Exactly, and I love that. That's what's beautiful. So doing business as a woman versus doing business as a man is a lot of what we've been talking about. Whereas women support each other, they share more. Do you think that they're more confident in their individuality than men are as a whole in the business world?
I don't think so, actually.
Okay.
Maybe
I'm just too confident or something. I don't know.
I think there's no such thing as being too confident. I think that I don't necessarily think it's a matter of that. It's that I think women just usually are more investigative and exploring and trying to figure things out for themselves. They're more internally focused, so that you come to that awareness, whereas men have been trained to go, just go out and do it, get it, take action, and so they're more just in the flow of action versus into the introspective, let me find it out. So I really think you could come across the information both ways, by just being out and going, you can, if you're paying attention with all that going, you can come to, here's what's I'm noticing is helping me win over and over again, and here's the times, So that's why, if a man's open to bringing in this other piece, if he already has the action piece down, then it can be really powerful for him to bring in the other piece of this, the introspection and the self-awareness, that deeper level of personal clarity, because he's going to be way ahead of the game. It's going to be like he's got, double powers,
Yeah. I want triple powers. I have them, baby. We're almost at a close. It goes by so fast. I can't believe this. So it just came to me. Let's think of 3 amazing tips for women that they can, and we've already talked about them, but let's bring them forward, that women can stand in their full feminine power, in their full feminine pleasures, and truly enjoy being a woman in the business world.
Okay. So number 1, having clear boundaries, respecting yourself, your own time, your own space, your own needs, and communicating those clearly to other people, extremely valuable and important.
Right.
Number 2, we didn't really talk about this, but just playing. That we need time to play. We need spaciousness for creativity to flow. We need to be recharged.
Yes. Don't
function well just working ourselves into the ground. I mean, men don't either, but they are physically more able to do it than we are. They're built for that a little bit more. We're a little bit more delicate and sensitive physically, and in that regard.
Right.
Other physical areas we're stronger. However, so we need that time. We really need that time to play and to recharge. So important. And you can't, if you leave that out, you're going to go out of balance in the other direction. You can't just play all day.
Right. You won't get anything done.
Right. Exactly. So that's just radically important to play and recharge your battery. And then part of that, an element of that is playing with your look and making sure that you feel good about how you look and that you are bringing in those elements of softness and grace and sensuality and playfulness into your appearance, because it's going to be more fun and people are going to respond to you better. So you're going to be bringing this magnetic, charismatic energy into the room when you dress in a way that's in alignment with who you are. And it's fun for you,
Right. So life should be fun.
Life should be fun.
We should embrace our feminine beauty, and everyone is beautiful. We all look different. And
Exactly.
It's how we put it together.
Exactly. And then the last thing is, just whatever way you can find to just remember and remind yourself that what you have to offer is valuable, that you're valuable. There's no one else that can give your gifts. Do whatever you need to get to that place, and or wherever you need to charge your rates, and ask for what you want. Ask for the sale. Ask for the promotion. Ask for the raise. Ask for the corner office.
Don't be afraid.
Yeah, ask that person to collaborate with you that you think might be a little bit out of your league. That's one of the most powerful things that we can do to get ourselves out of the box.
Wonderful.
The old paradigm.
Wonderful. I love that. So step out of your paradigm, step out of your box, step out of your patterning, and don't be afraid.
Yeah.
Beautiful. All right. Thank you so much, Umoh. This was
Thank
beautiful.
you.
I appreciate you taking your time. It was. All right. We'll see you all next week. Thank you for joining us.
Bye everyone.